3 is enough. All right. Okay, so it says, and we know with great confidence that God, who is deeply concerned about us, causes all things to work together as a plan for good for those who love God, to those who are called according to his plan and his purpose. Okay, so that is what this preaching is going to be based on today. All things are for good, whether it's the good and the bad. This year, personally, it's been probably the worst year of my life. And I mean, I'm only 20, so I'm young. I'm a baby. But up to being 20, this has been the worst year of my life. I found myself in places that I never thought I would be, struggling with things that I had never struggled with before, as my own person, with my family, things, that we were going through, the Capdevilla family, my Salvatierra family, and some of you that I've talked to yourself, things that you have gone through that have been challenging. There has been great opposition against each and every one of us, right? Okay, so, can anyone tell me who Apostle Paul was in the Bible? Apostle Paul? One of the greatest apostles. Okay, anyone else? Okay, persecutor of the Christians, formerly known as Saul, but his name changed to Paul. Anyone else? Who was Paul? Oh, Saul Paul. Okay, he wrote the majority of the New Testament. Very correct. Philemon, Colossians, Ephesians, Philippians, Hebrews for Timothy, Romans, and on. Anyone else? It's the biggest, obvious one. Who was Paul? A disciple! Wow, you're so smart. A+ for you. Yeah, he was a disciple, right? So, disciple meaning he was one of the ones in the Bible that gave everything up in his life to follow God, right? As some of you said, he was a persecutor of all men. Not all men who followed God, believed in God. And then he had an encounter with God one day, and he was radically changed, radically saved, became a Christian, gave everything in his life to follow God, right? Okay, so Paul, in the Bible, there are many things that he went through. The majority of his life, he was in prison. And the most of the time that he was in prison is where all the books of the Bible that he wrote came from. But there's a specific instance, a specific story, or a specific problem that he went through that I want to touch on out of all the ones that he went through. So I'm going to talk about the shipwreck on Malta. Okay, most of you don't know who that is, what that is, but you're going to find out today. Okay? So, go to Acts 27. Yes, Acts 27. And not a specific verse. We're going to be going all around. Okay. Everyone ready? See? Okay. All right. Okay. So, Paul at that time was going to go see Caesar, though he felt like the Lord was leading him to go on a specific assignment to go see Caesar. But on that trip that he was taking to go see Caesar, he was taken as a prisoner for preaching the gospel, And so he was taken as prisoner. So, back then, we know they don't have cars, they don't have airplanes, they don't have mode of transportation like we do here, right? Back then, it was ships and walking, okay, and boats. So, he had to go, when he was taken as prisoner, he was going from boat to boat, ship to ship, because that's the only thing they had. So, back then, obviously, if you're in a big ship with a lot of people and there's a lot of wind and a lot of waves, the boat is very unsturdy. And for some people, it can even get really, really seasick, right? Okay, so he was going different ship, because they were taking him to different prisons. And then one day, the winds were really, really, really strong, like very strong. And Paul, because he was knowledgeable about this, because he was always traveling, going around the world to preach the gospel, share the gospel, he tells the chief, paraphrasing, of course, hey, this isn't a good idea. We shouldn't go on this boat. There's a lot of wind. There's a lot of waves. It's too crazy. We're not going to make it if we go. He warned them. He told them this isn't a good idea. And that's in verse 9, 27:9. So he says, But as the season was well advanced, for much time had been lost and navigation was already dangerous, Paul warned and advised them, saying, "Sirs, I perceive after careful observation that this voyage will be attended with disaster and much heavy loss, not only of the cargo of the ship, but for our lives also." Okay, so he warns them and he tells them this is not a good idea. But lo and behold, how many of us know that some people can be a little hard-headed? They can be a little stubborn and think that they know best, right? So the chief says, "No, we'll be okay. No biggie. You don't know what you're talking about. We'll be fine. No biggie." So the winds became really, really strong. They go over. Ships sail to sea. And the winds are super strong. And so they're starting to see, this is the boat, right? This is the boat. And in an instant, the boat starts going. It's starting to move, right? But because they have so much cargo and the winds were so strong, they had to start throwing things overboard, which could be weapons, food, cargo that they needed to survive. But it was just, the storm was so bad that they couldn't hold it. So God is obviously in the midst of this. How many of us know that? Even when we don't see it, even when we don't feel it, as the song Waymaker says, he is the waymaker, right? That no matter what happens, God is always in the midst, right? So these people are freaking out, and after throwing everything overboard, the storm passed, and for days they're just sailing on water, not knowing where they are. They lost navigation and everything. And in verse 27:20, it says, "And when neither sun nor stars were visible for many days, no small tempest kept raging about us, all hope of our being saved was finally abandoned." So what does that say? They gave up hope. Very simple. So God comes, right? He's always working. He's always there. God comes, and to Paul, he sends an angel to speak to him. So Paul says in verse 21, "Notice that they had eaten nothing for a long time. Paul came forward into their midst and said, 'Men, you should have listened to me, and should not have put to sea from Crete and brought on this disaster and harm and misery and loss. But even now, I beg you to be in good spirits and take heart, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only for the ship. For this very night there stood by my side an angel of God, to whom I belong and whom I serve and worship. And he said, Do not be frightened, Paul. It is necessary for you to stand before Caesar, and behold, God has given you all those who are sailing with you.'" So first, we see Paul was a human, okay? Even though he was this great guy in the Bible, the one who traveled the world, very famous in the Bible for writing the Bible too, he had a little fleshly moment, and he told them, "I told you so. If you would have listened to me, you wouldn't have gone to this." But nevertheless, God is good, and he's going to save us, okay? God didn't give them an exact reason. You are going to be shipwrecked because this. But he told them everything is going to be okay because it is necessary for you to go before Caesar. So he didn't give him a reason why, but he gave him a revelation why. Okay, so with that, so as that's going on, they all have peace. Okay, God's with us. God's with Paul. We're going to be okay. No biggie, no problem. So, but in that, with him saying, "I told you so," it is necessary for you to go. Be a little frustrated over this. If you told him not to do it, or gonna get lost if you do it, wouldn't you be a little frustrated? But then he's like, "Oh, but God this, God that," and then there's faith, right? There's frustration and faith. Have you ever been in a situation because of someone else's actions, something they've done, and that you didn't do? Have you ever been in one of those? Yeah, your mom told you not to go out with your friend, right? And then you promised her, "Mom, he's good, he's a good friend." Him being boy and boy, okay? Boys hang out with boys, okay? So, thanks, Mom and Dad. So, you're saying, "He's a good friend, just let me hang out with him, this and that." y'all go to movie theaters, go to the mall, and your friend decides, "Oh, I really like that wallet in my pocket," and he leaves, right? Go past the alarm, beep, beep, beep. What happens? Y'all get caught, right? Even though you had no idea that he was gonna steal it, he still stole it. And because you're with him, because
Good.
you're
How are
his
you?
friend at that moment, you get busted too. You've never seen this,
I
sis?
okay. Has
That
I had
ever
a
happened
question
to you
about
in
the
a different
sound
city?
because
Right?
it
That's
when
what
I'm
happened.
watching it
That
on
almost happened to me.
YouTube, it's like
And even
echoey.
with your
Like
parents, that can
you,
happen.
it'll be clear,
Okay?
and then
So,
after a few moments, it'll sound
sorry, I just had a
weird.
flashback.
Like there's gonna be an echo, and I didn't know how to fix it.
So, but then also, we have to remember that our decisions have consequences. What if you were one of those people
Um,
said,
I
"No,
mean,
we can go." If God tells you
not
no, and you still
sure.
say, "No,
Like
I got this," and God's clearly telling you,
I don't know where it's
"No,
coming
it's
from.
not the time. It's not my will," and you keep on saying, "No, no, I'm gonna do it now. I know I can do it. This and that," and then you're struggling, and you don't know why,
Oh,
right?
yeah. There's no echo in this.
God tells you you're not ready for a girlfriend. You're not ready for a
Wait.
boyfriend. And you're like, "Oh, yes, I am, this and that, this and that." So you go after a boyfriend, go after a girlfriend, and you get brokenhearted. And you're here wondering, why are you struggling with loneliness? Why are you struggling with depression? Why are you struggling with anxiety? Don't don't mistake your decision with the devil. Because so many times we can say, "Oh, the devil's tempting me. The devil's trying me so hard. I can't do this." When
Okay,
in
sorry.
fact, you're the
Luis
one
is
who's
helping
doing it.
me out. Okay,
Let's be real. Come on, let's be real. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This is my time. I'm preaching myself
Can
right
you
now.
hear it though?
Okay?
Like, I mean, did
There's
you
this
get a
story.
chance to watch on
There's this story
YouTube?
that one day God was roaming the earth, everything, and he found in a corner over there, he found Satan crying. He asked him, "Why are you crying?" And he said, "Everyone keeps on blaming me for something that I'm not doing, something that they're doing themselves. You want to know why you're struggling with pornography? Deciding to follow girls on
Yeah,
Instagram who are
it's
showing their
in
bodies half
between.
naked. You're just deciding to watch movies who are having a whole bunch of sex scenes, and you want to know why you're struggling with not wanting to watch pornography?
Oh, put it on channel one?
Want to know why you're having such a hard time? You don't know why you're not hungry for God, why you don't want to go time in the presence, why you don't want to pray. Yet every time you have a free opportunity, you're too busy on YouTube, Netflix, watching a new show, Riverdale, all the boys I've ever loved. I've been there, trust me. Yet it's your decision. You have a free opportunity.
You're talking about
Ask
the
God, "God, give me a hunger for
black people? Oh,
you."
uh,
He gives you an opportunity. What do? Click.
okay.
Watch TV.
Yeah.
Don't mix the devil with your decision. I got a little sidetracked. I'm sorry. Okay. So God didn't give him a reason, right? A revelation of why, because he needed to. It was necessary.
Yeah, it's black people.
Okay. So then we go to chapter 28 in Acts. So, back, scroll a little bit back.
It's already at 0.
So there were two
Yeah.
sailors also trying to escape, and them trying to escape
Should I move it up a little bit?
because they were trying to let go
Okay.
of anything that would actually be able to keep the boat stable for a little, so it wouldn't go to and fro. And so these two prisoners are doing everything they can, secretly, not saying anything, telling each other, "Let's do this, they're not gonna know this and that," not realizing that everything they were doing was gonna kill all those people. And how many of us know that the truth always comes to the light, right? You were doing something in secret from your mama, from your daddy, and somehow you got caught. And you have no idea how. I can't tell you how many times that happened to me with mom. I can't tell you how many times.
Okay. All right.
3 of them. But no, but for real, guys, and it just happens. It just happens. I would come home. I would get in the car Hi, sweetie. What'd you do? No, not what'd you do. What are you hiding? She look at your soul, but it was the Holy Spirit nudging her inside. ¿Verdad? That's never happened to you. I'm the only one that's happened to. I know some of y'all parents in here are God fearing, and I know that Holy Spirit speaks to them too. Or not even your parent. What about your mentor? You were hiding something from your mentor. You were talking to that boy, and they didn't. You kept it quiet, and your mentor says, "There's a difference. There's a difference in the worship. There's a difference in some of what's going on. There's a difference in the relationship." I don't know. This Gio's been. Okay. Sometimes, in certain seasons of life, you will have to let go of people. If you don't let go of certain people, the people who are not benefiting you in your spiritual walk, those are going to be the same people to take you out of the church. If you were struggling with drugs before and you're going to hang out with druggy friends, those are going to be the same people to take you back to drugs. The same thing happened. These two sailors, these two prisoners, were gonna do whatever they could to get free
there's a
and leave
line
others
over
to
it
die.
that says it's canceled.
And thank you, Jesus. Someone had wisdom. Paul told them, listen, if we don't let go, guys, they're gonna kill us. So they had to let go of them. You have to let go of the people in your life who are not benefiting you, even if they can be your best friend. I've had that happen to me before. My best friend, I love them with all my heart, this and that. But at the end of the day, whenever I had a problem, was that person taking me to that person telling me you need to go to the secret place? That person was telling me, "Oh, come on, well, let's just go smoke some weed. No, we can go take a drink. It's okay, let's just forget about it temporarily." Those people, what you allow will be the same thing to kill you. Pastor Angie taught me that. Love you. So now we go to chapter 28. So they were shipwrecked, they were hungry. I imagine with all the water, they're cold. And how many of you ever sat in your clothes all wet, and then it gets all icky, and then you start to stink and all that? And then they find an island. Lo behold, Malta. Okay, so let's say this is Malta. All right, these little speakers are Malta, and this is the boat. They have to travel through the water because boats can't reach all the way to shore. They got to go a little, so they had to get out the water. An island that they've never been before. So they're hungry, shipwrecked, lost, probably angry at each other, wet, cold, stinky, bad breath, all of that. No, if they were gone for a long time on sea. There, right? In an unfamiliar place, an unknown place, okay?
It's all system sound on it.
So let's go to verse 3 we'll start at verse 1 in chapter 28. After we were safe on the island, we knew and recognized that it was called Malta. And verse 2, and the natives showed us unusual and remarkable kindness, for they kindled a fire and welcomed and received us all, since it had begun to rain and was cold. So they have unknown people on that island. Unfortunately, God's grace and God's favor was with them, that the people were nice to them. They helped them. They gave them food. They clothed them, helped build shelter, everything. So there was one good thing that came out of it. At least they weren't completely lost. Because if there was no one on the island, they wouldn't have known what to do. It would have been an episode of Lost, literally. So, verse 5. Let's go on to verse 5. Then Paul seems like a very nice guy, doesn't he? He gave everything up, and no matter what he went through, he served God, even if it was really bad. And even though, because of the other people's decisions, he was on that stranded island, he could have not told them that God was going to save them or anything. Because of his anger, because of his frustration, he could have kept that to himself to see them be very afraid. Because, have you ever been so upset at someone that you just want to intentionally see them get hurt? It happens. That's called the flesh. So, but he was a nice guy. He told them, hey, God's got this. We're going to be okay. No biggie, right? And then he sees that these foreigners, these native people, are all helping. So he says, well, why don't I help build too? I mean, I just got here. They just helped us. Let's help them build. Verse 5. Then verse 4, sorry. No, verse 3. Whoops. Now Paul had gathered a bundle of sticks, and when he was laying them on the fire, when a viper crawled out because of the heat and fastened itself on his hand. Okay, so you're telling me Paul is shipwrecked, hungry, cold, thirsty, stinky, and on top of all this, he gets bit by a snake? How would you feel? At this point, you'd be over it, right? You get bit, and it says it fastened itself. So that doesn't mean it was a little bite. It was it stayed on. Fastenings mean that snake took a grip, and he was just like this. Verse 4. When the natives saw the little animal hanging on his hand, they said to one another, "Doubtless this man is a murderer, for though he has been saved from the sea, justice, the goddess of avenging, has not permitted him to leave." So you're telling me that the same people who were just like, oh, we can trust Paul, we can do, God's with him, this and that, were so quick in seeing him be bit to say, oh, he's a murderer, he's this and that, he's in this and that, right? You cannot place your trust on people. People are going to fail you. The same people who are next to you, by your side, who are faithful, serving with you in ministry, or even friends at school who are saying, yes, I got your back no matter what, can turn on you like this in a drop of a pen. So, they automatically judged him, and he said, oh, he has to. He has to have done something bad for this to happen. Now we're at verse 5. Then Paul simply shook off the small creature into the fire and suffered no evil effects. Can someone show me what Paul did? Shake it off, Rose. Shake off the bite. Okay, so y'all see it though, right? He shook it off. Shook it off. A snake that was bitten. He just said, he didn't go, he didn't, no. Sorry, that was a little loud. He didn't do that. He wasn't, oh man, this hurts, I can't believe this. He wasn't complaining, he wasn't murmuring. He just said, okay, and shook it off, right? Shook it off. So, his response is what our response needs to be whenever anything happens to us. Okay, Malta, did you know that the name of Malta means refuge? That's what it's defined as, refuge. And did you know that Malta is a place where you never thought you would be? Have you ever been in that season before? You're somewhere that you never thought you would be? Whether it's because of someone else's decision or a decision you made? So he shook it off. He shook off the pain. He shook off the frustration. He shook off the lies. And what you need to be doing is shaking off the depression. You need to be shaking off the anxiety. You need to be shaking off that desire to want to date someone when you're too young. You want to shake that off? You need to shake that off. Because if you're not shaking that off, where are you going to be? You're going to be high. You're going to be low. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. Oh, I don't want anything to do with God. Let me leave that there and go on. So, they saw, then it goes on to read that after they saw that nothing happened, that he did not die, they switched back. Oh my gosh, he's a godly man. He's this and that. We can praise him. We can trust him. Let's switch again. Yeah, I don't know why, but the Holy Spirit is impressing me to tell you, stop trusting people you don't need to trust. You keep on placing your faith. You know, your friend is not your God. You can tell your friends your problems. Yeah, that's great. But at the end of the day, is your friend going to heal? Is your friend going to heal your sickness? Is your friend going to be the one to set you free from depression? Is your friend going to be the one to save your family? Is he going to be the one to save your brother that's lost, your sister that's lost? No, he's not going to be the one to do it. She's not going to be the one to do it. Okay, so there was a reason why Paul was there. Can anyone else see that? I mean, we know who God is, right? And just as Romans 8:28 said, he works all things for the good. If they were shipwrecked and this and that, and they still find an island, an angel showed up, tells them you're going to be okay. First, confirmation. There's a reason why you're going to go there. He didn't give them a reason why, but there was a reason why. Number 2, they find an island. They find people to help them. Second thing, there is a reason why you're here. Third thing, you get bit by a snake. Nothing happens. And it fastened itself. And I'm pretty sure if it was in an unknown island jungle, I'm pretty sure it was something that was venomous and poisonous. Okay, so after they saw that nothing happened, he's God, he's a godly man, we're going to be okay, this and that. It says in verse 8, and it happened, oh no, I'm sorry y'all, I wrote the wrong verse. One second. Okay, verse 7, sorry. In verse 7 it says, in the vicinity of that place there were estates belonging to the head man of the island named Publius, who accepted and welcomed and entertained us with a hearty hospitality for 3 days. So a party for 3 days, right? And it happened that the father of Publius was sick in bed with reoccurring attacks of fever and dysentery, and Paul went to see him. And after praying and laying his hands on him, he healed him. So Paul was invited to go to the house of the chief. And I imagine that they're eating, having a good time. It's all jokes, it's all laughs. And then somehow, the chief, because obviously the chief heard that he was healed. So you don't think that maybe the chief could have thought, man, if he was healed from this and he's a godly man and God hears him, maybe he can heal my dad? Right? And that's what happened. And I can see them talking and everything, and then I can see the chief just saying them, hey, do you have a moment to talk real quick? Hey, I saw this, I heard what happened, I need help. My dad's dying. My dad's sick and he's not going to live. Can you pray for him? And the chief, okay, you cannot forget the chief. This wasn't just anyone. This was the same guy who could have told them, get out, get back on your ship and leave my island. But he wasn't. He showed them hospitality and kindness for no reason. That shows that it was God. So then, continue verse 9. After this had occurred, the other people on the island who had diseases also kept coming, and they were cured. So the father's healed, and everyone else hears about it. And then, because everyone else hears about it, it says everyone else on the island came. So everyone else who was sick came, got prayed for, and got healed. Do you think that's what Paul was expecting when he was shipwrecked on an island? Do you think he was expecting, oh man, God is going to use this, I'm going to lead a revival to a whole island? Do you think that's what he was thinking? No. But because he trusted God, because he was surrendered to God and surrendered to the will of God, the Lord was able to use him to lead that entire, I'm sure there was children there. People who had never heard of the Bible, never heard of Jesus, never heard of the Savior, the healer, the protector, the Father, had never heard of that. And because Paul was obedient, Paul was submitted, Paul was committed to Jesus Christ, he led that entire revival on that island. And it also says in verse 10, they showed us every respect and presented many gifts to us, honoring us with many honors. And when we sailed, they provided and put on board our ship everything we needed. The same people who they didn't know gave them everything they needed to go back home. You see, Paul didn't need Malta. Malta needed him. And that's how it You don't need this world. You don't need that school you go to. You don't need that friend who's always cussing and fussing and all that. You don't need that. But they need you. Okay, there's someone waiting. Someone who through you will receive your salvation. Your family needs you. You want to keep on giving up. You want to be in and out, wishy-washy in church. But you want to ask God, why haven't you saved my family? Why am I going through this? When you're not committed, you're not submitted to the will of God. You want to join ministry. You want to do everything you can to be on altar. But the moment anything comes to shake your boat, you want to quit. What is up with that? You want to quit. You know, I saw, as I was preparing for this message, I'm a visual learner. In order for me to understand it, I have to see it. And, Dad, if you could stand right here. I was preparing, and I was asking the Lord, show me something that I can show them so they can finally understand. So I'm going to be the devil, okay? I'll be devil advocate. Gio, I want you to envision each one of yourselves as Gio. And Gio, you be Gio. And Dad is going to be Jesus, okay? Follow me. Okay, so, how many of y'all know that we serve a good God? And that this year has been known, Dad shared on Sunday morning, that the theme for this year is breaking off the limits through complete and total surrender, right? So, as I was preparing for this, I asked the Lord, show me something, I need to understand what you're saying. And he took me to Luke 22, 31 through 32. Luke 22, 31 through 32. And it says, Simon, Simon, listen. Satan has demanded permission to sift all of you like grain. But I have prayed especially for you, that your faith and your confidence in me may not fail. And you, once you have turned back again to me, strengthen and support your brother in faith. So it says that Jesus was praying for us, that our faith, our confidence in him will not fail. So I'm the devil, right? And Gio's having his walk, right? And I'm going to throw depression at him. I'm going to throw anxiety at him. To the point where I'm even going to take his family. To the point where he won't want to get up. He'll be stuck. And even though he's still there, he feels God, but he lets a thought in. He lets a thought in his mind tell him, know what? No, God's not with me. And he tells him, oh, you know what? I don't need God. I can do this myself. I don't need anyone. I can get through this myself. And then I could tell him, no, you don't. You can't do it by yourself. What the enemy doesn't know is that everything that happens to you is for a purpose. And it can only go through God's hands for it to happen. So he might allow it, but he doesn't know the reason why. So he thinks that he has you stuck, and he thinks that he has you stationed. No, he thinks he has you stuck, but he doesn't know you're stationed. Because he's ready. He needs to know that no matter what he throws, with God being on his side, with God praying for him, interceding for him, knowing him that his time is ready, keep on praying, keep on praying, keep on praying. See, here I am. Once I have Gio on the floor, once the enemy has you on the floor, he'll send his little demons to do his work. He say, okay, and he'll turn his back, no biggie. Do whatever you want. But what he doesn't realize is that he's not stuck. Geo's not stuck. Geo's stationed. It's in that place of pain, in that place of torture, in that place of sadness that your purpose is going to come forth. And that's what you need to realize. He was stationed. He was stationed from the beginning. He was stationed, guys. When are you going to understand it? You're not going through this just so you can be another one in the world. You're not going to be that person. Oh, he's depressed too. She's suicidal too. That's not what you're going through. You're stationed. And you keep on asking God, why? Why me? Why not you? Prove to the world that you can do this. Prove to the world that they don't have to live this way. You don't have to live with bondage. You don't have to live with depression. That's not what you were made for. You were called to glorify Him. He blessed you with the voice, Jess, and I don't know why, but He's telling me He blessed you with the voice. Your voice will set the others free. For 2019, I thought this could only get worse. And everyone speaks and everyone says, new year, new me, make a New Year's resolution. But does that ever really happen? You start off the first day strong, ready, spending time in the Lord, worshiping this and that. But then something happens, and by the third day, you're already tired. And it's just the beginning of a new year. And that's what happened last year. Many of you were tired, and you didn't understand why. And you asked God, why? Why is this happening? I don't want this. Even in Christmas time, everyone was happy. And you felt alone. Even when you were happy, there's someone here. You would be fine during the day. During the day, you were happy going to work, going to school, whatever. And the moment you laid your head at night to bed, all you felt was an emptiness inside of you. You felt like there was nothing. There was a sadness. There was a gaping, a hole, a void inside of you that you didn't know what to do. And tonight, you. All you have to do is surrender. You were never made to go through those battles by yourself. You were never made to give up. You're not stuck. You're stationed. The enemy keeps on telling you you're stuck. You can't get past this. You can't get over this. But God's not telling you that. God's telling you it's time. See, when the enemy has you on the ground the way he had Gio, he doesn't realize that he's making the worst decision, worst mistake he could ever do. Because in reality, he's preparing Gio. He's preparing Gio so that when Gio's time comes, when he gets to preach on altar, then he gets to set free those captives that were exactly like him. There is a reason why you're going through everything, and you're not necessarily going to know every time, but you need to remember who God is. You need to remember where he's taking you out of. You need to remember what he did for you, what he saved you. Do you really think that God is going to save you out of depression, out of suicide, after homosexuality, just for you to be another nobody on the other side? Hey, I'm a Christian. Ask me if you have any questions, and that's it. And stay sitting here not doing anything. Do you really think that's his plan for your life? He has called you. He has called you. We have worshipers on that altar. Do you think they were always singing, oh, praise God, glory be to the height? Do you think they were always singing like that? No. If you knew who Jessica Leo was, if you knew where God has taken her out of, if you knew who Danielle was, if you knew who Yogadis was, Jonathan, if you knew what each one of them have been through and where God has taken out of them, and to see where they are today, that's a true testimony that shows who God is. And God, if God can do it with them, he can do it with you. So we go back to Romans 8:28. And we know with great confidence that God, who is deeply concerned about us, causes all things to work together as a plan for good, for those who love God, to those who are called according to his plan and purpose. Don't ever forget that. God turns everything around for good. And if you need a reminder, if you can't think of anyone around you that fit that scenario, go to the Word. Joseph, his brothers sold him. They hated him so much and were so jealous that they literally sold him. And it says in Genesis 50:20, Joseph reunites with his brothers and he's king. He was a slave and became a king. Don't ever forget that. But he's reunited with his brothers because a famine came about the land. And he, being the king, he had some visions, had some dreams. God used him in a mighty way to store food for the country, store food for the land. And his brothers, his family's dying because they don't have any food because of the famine. And they're afraid because when they go to Joseph, he's king. So they think, oh no, we sold him. You really think our brother, the one we sold, is going to give us food? Is he's going to have mercy on us? They were scared out of their minds. And in Genesis 50:20, it says that Joseph speaking, but as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring about as it is this day, to save many people alive. Another one, King Hezekiah, he was struck with sickness and illness that he was gonna die. That was it. He was ready. He was going to die. The last straw. Already had a will and everything ready. And the Lord healed him. And in Isaiah 38:17, he's speaking. And And he said, surely it was for my benefit that I suffered such anguish. In your love you kept me from the pit of destruction. You have put all my sins behind your back. He's done it before. He can do it again. It's not just for the people of the Bible. It's not just for the leaders of the church. It's not just for the apostles. It's not just for the pastor, the evangelist. It's for everyone, guys. He is able to save you in your situation. And he turns it all around for good. You didn't know why you were going through this. There is a reason why. And if you can just take your eyes off this moment, take your eyes off of the pain, take your eyes off of the sadness, and try to just see the bigger picture. Trust in God. Surrender to him. Surrender to his will. He will honor that. He will respect that. And as we go in, we are in the new year. Today is January 4th, already 4 days in. And there are some of you here today who you've said, whether it be Sunday or a few days before the year end, and you said, you know what, this is the year I'm going to commit to God. I'm going to surrender. I'm going to serve him. I'm going to do my Bible plan every day. I'm going to worship every day. And it's the 4th day of the year, and you've already messed up. You've already missed the day to go into his presence. You've already lied. You've already fallen into temptation. Whatever it is, in some way or some form, you've already failed. And some of you have already told yourselves, well, I guess I can't do it. I tried, but I can't do it. And you've been indecisive. Last year, you gave up. You decided to just not do the will of God. You decided to stop walking with God and do whatever you felt like doing. And then you kept on saying, oh, tomorrow. Or you kept on saying, next year I'll do it. Next year I'll do it. It's already so close. I'll be able to start next year. I just want to enjoy these few more days of sin. Or maybe you didn't tell yourself a few more days of sin. You told yourself, I just want to have these few more days of doing what I want to do. What makes me feel good, even though I know it's not good for me. And in James 4:13-14, it says, come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go into such and such city and spend a year there and carry on our business and make money. Yet you do not know the least thing about what may happen tomorrow. What is the nature of your life? You are but a wisp of vapor, a puff of smoke, a mist that is visible for a little while and then disappears into thin air. You keep on telling yourself, oh, I'm going to do it then. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it next time. Tomorrow's not promised. Yes, the new year started. But do you know if you're going to live to finish this year? Are you going to live to finish to see next week? Are you going to live to see tonight? And what if what were to happen if you leave youth? Great word. Yes, this is that. And you go on your way home. And maybe your brakes stop working. And the car's going out of control and you get into a crash and you die. Are you prepared for that? Do you know where you're going? Are you going to heaven or are you going to hell? Ask yourself that question. Because if you don't know, you are in danger. You are in danger. Hell is for an eternity. Fire, flames, and never-ending eternity of pain. Is that what you want for yourself? And some of you haven't even thought about that. You've thought, oh, I like the way I feel, and you haven't thought about the consequences. Have you thought that if you would have committed to God, in December, do you know where you would be right now? If you would have committed to God in August, would you be a youth leader right now? But because you decided to do what you felt like doing, what you wanted to do, what made you feel good, where are you now? Are you struggling to read the Bible? You can't even pray 10 minutes? You can't even listen to worship music because it's boring? Where would you be if you just committed to God wholeheartedly? If you surrendered to Him, where would you be? Where would your family be? Where would your friends be? You want to be an example. You keep wanting to be an example. You say, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go to my job. Tell everyone about Jesus. Evangelize, let them see that I'm a good Christian and that they can be one too. But you don't want to commit. And so you care about them. And at first you start, hey, there's someone named God. There's someone Jesus who loves you. And whatever you're going through, He can help you through that. And then that person's hungry. That person's really hungry for God. But because you decided to stop, because you stopped being a reflection of Jesus Christ in your walk, that person was discouraged. You changed who you were. And that person saw the real you. And they said, oh no, if that's what it is to be a Christian, I don't want to be a Christian. Have you thought about that? You want to know why your cousin's not serving the Lord? Whoever this is for, I don't know who it's for, but I'm hearing cousins specifically. You want to know why your cousins are not speaking, are not following the Lord, or don't have a relationship with Him? Because you're not showing them who God is. You're not showing them what it is to have a relationship with Him. You're showing them some wishy-washy, what is to be in and out, being hypocritical. And you expect them to automatically come to you whenever they have problems, whenever they're feeling sad. Oh, let me pray for you. Let me help you with this. And then they're going to tell you, you want to pray for me now? You want to start talking about Jesus now when you were just cussing? When you were just drinking? When you were just doing drugs? When you were just hiding something from your parents and just telling me about it? You want to start talking about God now? Breaking off the limits through complete surrender. Are you tired of where you were in 2018? Do you want a repeat of 2018 for 2019? Do you want to be in the same place that you were before? Tired, busted, disgusted? Do you still want to be like that? Tired all the time, sad all the time, angry all the time, bitter all the time? God has something greater for your life. But He's only going to do that if you let Him. The choice is on you. No one can decide for you. Your parents can take you to church. They can pray for you and everything. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. You are the only one who can commit to salvation for your soul. No one else can do it. I want everyone to close their eyes, please. Someone can dim the lights. 100% ready to commit to God, to surrender to Him, to break free from those bondages that have been holding you, to see the promises that God has promised you. If you are ready 100% to submit to God, to commit to Him, I need you to come up here to on altar and stand. Father, take us